Many new flippers blow their first deal before they ever pick up a hammer. And it's almost never because they can't pick up a hammer or they can't hire the proper contractor to pick up that hammer. It's because they fall in love with the property before they ran the numbers. And by the time that the spreadsheet says, hey, no, pump the brakes, their heart is already in love and committed. The first flip is the most important flip that you're going to do. If it's done right, then you're going to build a career. However, if it's done wrong, if it's set up wrong, you're going to lose your savings, your confidence that it can be done correctly in the future, and you're going to lose the opportunity to get funded for a second one. In the next 6 minutes, I will show you the exact formula that you need, the trap that destroys most first time flippers, and a hypothetical deal full of numbers so that you can see how the math actually works. I'm Robert with Open Lane Funding. Let's get into it. Here is the entire rule. One sentence. Your maximum purchase price equals the after repair value times zero point 0.7 minus your rehab budget. That's it. Memorize the formula. It's simple. Write it down on your bathroom mirror if you have to. In math form, it's max offer equals, in parentheses, ARV times 0.70 minus repairs. Now, why 70%? Because the remaining 30% has to absorb your hard money interest, has to absorb your holding cost over the next 8 to 12 months, and your closing cost from both buying and selling the deal. It also needs to include your real estate commission on the exit, and you still have to make room for profit. If you pay more than 70% of the ARV minus repairs, you are eating into one of those buckets, and it's almost always going to be your profit. So before we go any further, you need to hear this. The biggest reason first time flippers lose their money is not financing. It's not contractors. It's not market timing. It's emotional attachment. You walk a property, you see the potential. You picture the finished bathroom. You imagine the before and the after photos. And from that moment forward, you are not analyzing a deal anymore. You are justifying a purchase with a dream. Then the offer creeps up. Then the rehab budget becomes optimistic. Then the timing gets compressed in your head. The exit gets too generous. By the time you actually close the deal that looked great in hypotheticals and in your dreams when you walked the property and how you thought you could get it finished, that is now a deal that has to be perfect just to break even. The first deal sets up the pattern for every deal after it. There's always going to be mistakes. But if you let your emotion run your first one, you will do it again on your second. If you make the math win on your first one, even if you walk away from 10 properties to find the right one, you have set yourself up for a real career. The numbers don't care about the property. Run the formula. If it doesn't pencil, walk away. There is always another deal. And this is in a lot of different, you know, facilities in life, right? A lot of different avenues. Stocks, for instance, you get a certain formula. This is my buy box. Same for real estate. This is my buy box. If the numbers don't work, if the formula doesn't work, walk away. I couldn't tell you the last time I bought a stock because in the stock market right now, nothing is really set up. Or if it is, I'm just chasing it. Do I want to chase something or do I want to make money? And that is the goal. Don't be focused on buying. Focus on what the profit numbers look like, what the percentages and the formula and everything works out to be. Don't be afraid to walk away. If the numbers at any point in time don't make sense, put the deal out the door, close it off, remember why you walked away, and move on to the next one. What does ARV stand for? It stands for after repair value. It's why the property will appraise for once. It is what the property will appraise for once your renovation is complete. Not what Zillow says, not what your realtor hopes, because they're always going to mislead you 9 times out of 10. Not what the seller got down the street for last summer. ARV is determined the same way on every appraisal. The appraiser pulls 3 to 6 comparable closed sales within the last 6 months, ideally within half a mile, and that must match your post renovation property size, your bed and bath count, and condition. The mistake new flippers make: they comp the property at its current distressed condition, or they pull comps from a different submarket, or they assume that their renovation will make their property worth more than any other comp in the area, or they expect to put a minimum amount of work into the property and expect it to get the top. Sometimes those numbers don't work out. ARV is capped, and it will always be capped by your neighborhood's ceiling. You cannot renovate your way past that. And there is the other side of the same coin that almost nobody also teaches. Never buy the neighborhood outlier in the either direction. You don't want to buy the worst house on the block. Uh, you don't want to buy the worst house on the best block, thinking that you're going to renovate it to match it. The lot, the school, the views, the those things might support it, but the appraiser will still anchor it for to the median for that block. And you can spend 80,000 in finishes, but the appraiser won't give it back. And kind of an insight into how the appraisers operate, right? The reason why they're never going to give you a value below or above the top of the market. They have insurance to be sued against. Because if you go to sell your property and let's say peak of the market's 400K, but based off of everything you've told the appraiser and your realtor's there and you guys sold the appraiser and he gave you a 520 value. Now your numbers work perfect for the lender. Your loan amount's really high, but come time to sell, what happens? Oh, you can't sell for 520. Something happens. Okay, now I'm sitting at a 450 purchase price. Well, what happened to Mr. Appraiser? A lot of people sue the appraiser. That's why they have insurance. So appraisers have to be conservative with their numbers because guess what? Same thing on the other lender side. Now you can't sell the property, right? Now the lender has to foreclose on that property. Yes, that's bad for you, but now the lender's over leveraged, and now that relationship with that appraiser and that lender is burned. So it hurts a lot of people. And when lenders are protecting you off of when they're forcing you to lend off of the appraised value, it's to protect you. And I want to make sure you understand that they're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to protect your interest by protecting their interest. They want you to be successful. Kind of got off on the different path here, so let's get back into it. Uh, your exit is always going to be capped at the median of the homes that look worse than yours. That is a deal with no upside. The sweet spot for a flip is a property that is currently below and below the median for its block and can be brought up to the median, not past it, not below median, not median out, but that is where flips actually make money. And that's the game we're in, making money. If you're not sure how to pull real comps, get a broker price opinion or call an investor friendly appraiser before you make an offer. Or guess what? I can help you with that. There's all sorts of tools now that's out there that I can help give you a free feasibility report, tell you what the value is going to look like, what's your maximum allowable offer, right? But make that phone call before it could cost you a couple $100 and it can save you $40,000 from a mistake. Now let's get into hypothetical numbers so I can show you how the math actually works. And we're going to work off of also a realistic timeline because when you're looking at your first flip, you're going to be around 8 to 12 months on average. Most flips are going to be, especially first timers, newer investors, are going to be in there because there's a lot to figure out. There's a lot to start working to streamline. These are illustrative numbers. They're not a real deal, but we're just going to just baseline it. So just imagine a 3-bed, 2-bath. Comps say that the ARV is about 450,000. So now we're going to run the formula. 450,000 times zero point 0.7, which is 70%. And that gives us 315,000. Now our rehab budget is sitting right about 60,000. So we're going to subtract that, and that makes our maximum allowable offer 215. That's how much money we can give before we start eating into our profits. Now let's see that what that deal actually looks like financially over a realistic, we'll say 9-month hold. Uh, month, first time or most first time and newer flippers are in that 8 to 12 month, not 3 months, right? Don't expect that you're going to be in and out. Expect to hold the property, especially your first ones. Permits always take longer than you expect. Contractors miss timelines. Inspections get rescheduled. Listing and closing takes 60 to 90 days on the back end. Some areas, like Springfield, Massachusetts, are closing in 23 days, but a lot of places around the country, they're not there. They're about 30 to 60 days, sometimes 90 days. So plan for reality. Purchase price 255. Down payment looks about 10% on most hard money lenders. So you're looking at 25,500 for a down payment. Loan amount is going to be targeted around 299 500 at roughly 10.5% interest only. You're looking at 2 points for origination, which is about $4,500. Rehab budget looking at 60,000. So your monthly interest on that is going to be 229,500, about $2,010 per month. So 9 months of interest is roughly $18,100. Property taxes, builder risk insurance, utilities during the hold, roughly about $500 per month. So we'll say about 9 months, you're looking at $4,500. Closing costs to buy, you're going to be roughly about 5,000, give or take, per the lender, right? And title company and miscellaneous items. Closing costs to sell, you're going to be looking about 3% listing commission on 450,000. So that's right about 18,500. That could be higher, it could be lower, depending upon your agent. Most listing agents, you're going to be in that 2 to 3% range. Luckily, post 2024, you no longer have to pay the buying agent's commission. Make the buyer pay it. It's not your obligation. Total all-in cost is roughly about 336,000 to 340,000, give or take a little bit, right? So if we sell at 450,000, we're looking at a gross profit before taxes roughly 110,000 to 114 grand. Now, that deal pencils even at a realistic 9-month timeline and the new 3% commission for your realtor. But here's the lesson. If you paid 285,000 instead because you felt good about it, your gross profit now drops. Now you're sitting at 80,000. Say you pay 315, now you're at 50,000. Before you account for any cost overrun or a timeline slip or the contractor bid, hey, you open up the walls and there's another 15 grand worth of work. Every dollar above the formula comes straight out of, guess what? Your profit every time. And remember that your timeline can easily stretch from 9 to 12 months. So 3 months of extra interest, and or make sure that you or have 3 months of extra interest, and carry is about, 7,500 to $8,000. So if you bought it right, you absorb it. If you bought it emotionally, however, that's the difference between a profitable flip and one that you walk away from with nothing or losing cash. So just want to take a quick pause. If you want the spreadsheet that I built for this analyst, comment flip math below and I'll send it to you. Hit the subscribe button, follow button. And next Wednesday we're going to break down the Burr method and exactly why most Burr examples online don't actually work at 2026 rates. So if you want, don't miss it. Make sure you subscribe and follow. These are the costs most flippers forget. Every single one of them. One, holding interest stretches. Your loan accrues interest every single month you hold the property. Plan for 9 months minimum. If your project slips into 12, that's 3 extra months of payments coming straight out of your pocket. If it closes in 6, that's 3 extra months that you're going to make in profit. Two, utilities, insurance, and taxes during the rehab. Builder's risk insurance, it's not going to be optional. And it's not cheap. Add utilities even on a vacant property. Add property taxes. Budget several $100s per month every month until the deal closes. Three, realtor commissions on exit. The post NAR settlement. So you need a plan on 3% to the listing agent. The buyer's agent commission is no longer something that sellers are obligated to pay, but many buyers will still ask you to contribute. And in slow markets, you may need to offer 1 to 2% to attract showings. But the budget for the fee, uh, for the listing fee, and you need to treat any buyer side as a concession, as a negotiation layer, not as a fixed cost. Capital gains. A flip held under 12 months is taxed as ordinary income at marginal brackets. So, depending upon your other income, you could owe a meaningful chunk of your profit to the IRS in April. So, you need a plan for it. Set the money aside at closing. Talk to a CPA before you ever buy. Talk to your lender. Maybe you hold it 13 months. Maybe you start listing it at the 11-month mark so that you can save a big chunk on capital gains. But talk to a professional and you can game plan for this kind of stuff. Talk with your lender. The 70% rule is the right starting point for almost every single deal. There are certain scenarios where experienced flippers will go higher, very high velocity markets, premium finish flips with defined retail buyer pools, owner occupied ARV plays. But those are not for first time flip scenarios. Make sure you're hitting in the right target market. Check the other video that I just dropped today where it talks about the best places to buy. And if you want more details, reach out to me so I can help you find that perfect area for you and your investment strategy. If you are doing your first flip, do not break the rule. The rules exist because thousands of flippers learned the hard way. The math wins every time. Earn the right to push the boundaries by closing 2 or 3 deals where you respected them. And I know I talked about stocks before too, where there are gurus out there to follow in real estate. There's gurus to follow in stocks. These individuals, they give you a formula. Follow the formula, you will be successful. That's how they got successful. That's how gurus get successful. They follow their formula. Now, once they're really successful, okay, now they can afford to play around with it, right? They can afford to break one of their 5 rules, right? But the basis of the rules are staying intact. Here's the bottom line. The first flip sets their trajectory for every deal that you will ever do. Don't fall in love with the property, pull real comps, avoid the neighborhood outliers, run the math, at a realistic 9 to 12 month hold and budget every cost, even the boring ones. Comment flip math below, and I'll send you the deal analyst spreadsheet. I can even send you a quick formula to stick into any AI engine to do your own feasibility report. And it has these are going to have every line item built in, plus a hard money payment calculator. If you got a flip in mind and want me to look at the numbers with you, call or text me at the number on screen or in the description. No, my name is Robert. I'm with Open Lane Funding. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.